Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the channel. This is Gray Cloudy Day. I am known as Gray Cloud, or you can say Mr. Cloud, but Gray Cloud, Sage of the Eternal Moment. Right now, if you're watching this, I'm not trying to be pushy, but if you can, and I know you can, if you got hands and fingers, hit the like button, please. I don't know. I've been kind of consistent in doing that, saying, hey, hit the like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And, like if you've watched at least a couple of videos but still haven't subscribed, think about it. If it's helping you and you think it might help somebody else. Because the channel is not all about Gray Cloud. This is something that was given to me to be doing, to put some stuff out there that will hopefully inspire, it'll hopefully help other people, and maybe bring some people to a better understanding of where they're at in their relationship with the divine, with the spirit, with the thing that does move through all things and is outside of time and space, but also within time and space when it wants to be. So anyway, this video, it's not a I think this may be the fourth installment of my reflections. If you've been following what I've been doing, I started this week with one video and it's turned into 3 so far. And I'm saying, this is my reflections videos, like all these thoughts and things that have been processing for quite a while, but most recently in the past 2 weeks significantly has led up to me starting that first video. And I've done said this, I was under the assumption that this was something I would be able to somehow put and condense down into one video, whether that been a 15-minute video or a 20-minute video or whatever. But the Spirit has led me to understand this is probably going to end up being an ongoing thing. There may be times where I take a little break from the actual reflections part while I'm actually reflecting and absorbing all the new knowledge, the new stuff that's being shown to me. And then when it's processed correctly, coming back to that reflections series. I may work on a better title for what this is, but I think reflections is simple. But let's get going. What I wanted to share, and I've been thinking about sharing, and this does coincide with everything that I've been talking about, what is most important to me in my life now, and it always has been. My relationship with God has always been very important to me. But that being said, I have lived a hellish life, and there was plenty of times that were a lot of other things were put first. So I'm in the stage of my life where I am completely trying each day to put God first. And I use God for the lack of a better term, so that anybody that, if the only concept of the divine is, if the only way I can get it across is by using a word that describes the eternal, the all-knowing, the always has been and always will be, then that's what I do. Like I've said this plenty of times, the word God is not God's name. It is a word that mankind created to try to express what it is that is the creator, that is the force that moves through and makes things, that does and did create. But what I'm going to share right now, if anybody remembers, I recently finished Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Phenomenal book. Phenomenal. I didn't know that I might have known this, but I don't remember learning it. I only knew about C.S. Lewis because of Chronicles of Narnia, and that was because of the movies, and that was back then. And then I knew that he was an author because of high school. But then the movies came out. I remember the first movie, I kind of liked it. The second and third wasn't. I don't know. I've never read those books, but that being said, I am going to get those books and read them. Because, years ago when Brent Clifton gave me a copy of C.S. Lewis's The Great Divorce, which I have reordered a copy, and I have that copy now, and I'm on the third or fourth chapter. I'm taking it a little slow, but it's a really cool book. It's a fictional, fantastical type book, but it's about people wanting to hold on to the old them when they pass on and they're first getting to heaven. So it's about the different layers of heaven, and it's interesting. But this was so inspiring to me because in this book, I have learned C.S. Lewis originally was an atheist. It wasn't until, he fought in World War I. Of course, I already knew this much, that him and J.R., Tolkien, from the Lord of the Rings author, they were very good friends. If I remember correctly, they fought together in the war. I'd have to go back and study, but so at some point in his life after the war and all that, and I believe that fighting in the war had a big influence on his coming to know God and becoming a Christian. But it's nice to see and read from a perspective of someone, like I was never atheist, but I was kind of agnostic. Like I didn't not believe, I just didn't know what to believe. And then I transcended from believing in anything to knowing what I know. And what I know is so real. There's no way I could possibly ever put into words or say anything to ever convince anyone to believe what it is I know to be real and true. But maybe by what I share, it might spark you to start thinking a little more about it if you don't know what you believe, if you don't even think there's a God. Maybe if you give it a chance on my videos or the thing that is coming through me, something will plant a seed and you will see one day, something will go, hey, wait a minute. Maybe there's more to this than we just are born and die and there's nothing. But what I want to share is I think this is interesting. It's only a little bit into the book, and I can't remember which. It's the actual second part of the book. You have like 1, 2. Okay, it's broke up into segments. So this is after it's went into the second segment, and then it's the second part of the second segment. And it's, I'm going to read these last 2 paragraphs here. I hope this helps you because it helped me. I never thought of things this way. Listen. But I freely admit that real Christianity, as distinct from Christianity and water, goes much nearer to dualism than people think. One of the things that surprised me when I first read the New Testament seriously was that it talks so much about a dark power in the universe, a mighty evil spirit who was held to be the power behind death and disease and sin. The difference is that Christianity thinks this dark power was created by God and was good when he was created and went wrong. Christianity agrees with dualism that this universe is at war. But it does not think this is a war between independent powers. It thinks it is a civil war, a rebellion, and that we are living in a part of the universe occupied by the rebel. Think about that. Because when I get to this next paragraph, for me, it sums up exactly. It makes so much sense. The planet we're on, just listen, think about this. It thinks it is a civil war or rebellion, and that we are living in a part of the universe occupied by the rebel. If you know anything about biblical stuff, you would know who the right now who the king of the earth is. Yes, we know who's actually in charge of everything, but right now, who has free reign? Whether you call it the devil, Satan, or whatever, but that entity, whatever name we put to it, that's who is the ruler of the world right now. That's why all this crap is going on that you see. It's just going to keep escalating until finally it's going to reach a pivotal point, and then it'll all be cleaned out. Things will be refreshed, and we'll be on to a new journey for a certain length of time before things go awry again. But, hey, that's what it is. So here's the second paragraph. Now, remember, we're living in the part of the universe occupied by the rebel. Remember? So, enemy-occupied territory. That is what this world is. I'm going to repeat that. Enemy-occupied territory. That is what this world is. Christianity is the story of how the rightful king has landed. Think about that. You might say landed in disguise and is calling us all to take part in a great campaign of sabotage. When you go to church, you are really listening in to the secret wireless from our friends. That is why the enemy is so anxious to prevent us from going. He does it by playing on our conceit and laziness and intellectual snobbery. I know someone will ask me, do you really mean at this time of day to reintroduce our old friend the devil, hooves and horns and all? Well, what the time of day has to do with it, I do not know. And I am not particular about the hooves and horns. But in other respects, my answer is yes, I do. I do not claim to know anything about his personal appearance. If anybody really wants to know him better, I would say to that person, don't worry. If you really want to, you will. Whether you like it when you do is another question. Think about it. Right, I'm guessing he's meaning the rightful king landed finally back when the Christ came. But, he's not fully took on the full reign on earth again. He's sitting back waiting for the right moment to just, boom, hey guys. Little secret here, I never really left. Y'all talk about me in past tense and in future tense instead of thinking about me right now, where I'm at. Now think about this. I don't know what your beliefs are or where you're at with those type of things. I've studied many different stuff, like all sorts of spiritual paths, other cultures. I've learned there is a fine thread that kind of connects a lot of it. But I was talking to a friend yesterday. I'm coming full circle in my journey to where I was raised a certain way. Well, in the beginning, I was blessed to have a mom that, as I started getting into my prepubescent age, I didn't have to go to church anymore if I didn't want to, and I didn't. I was left to be able to decide on what I thought was real or not real on those things. I mean, I know what I was shown early in my life, taught. I know we did go to church a lot at some point, especially after my brother died at 19 years old, and my mom was really having a difficult time. There was 3 or 4 years where we went to several different types of churches. Her trying to seek out, some comfort in losing a child. But my mom also did plant seeds in my mind, like stuff like, yes, she believed that the Bible was true, but she was confused about some of it and it makes sense to me. Why wouldn't you be confused? Think about this. My mom always said in Genesis, so Adam and Eve are the first 2 people. They have 2 sons. One son kills the other goes off somewhere, finds a wife. My mom said, where did the land of Nod come from? Well, I learned eventually, because she planted that seed for me. I found out that if you were to look at Jewish, like predating Christianity per se, but there was supposedly another story before Adam and Eve, and that story was that the first woman was Lilith. She wanted to be equal to Adam. Supposedly Adam didn't like that. God didn't like that. Get out of here. Get out of there. And so Lilith supposedly had the ability to reproduce without her mate, and that's where Nod came from. Now, my mentor Dexter was the first person to tell me no, he wasn't really. Well, yeah, he was the first person to kind of express to me that that's where truth is stranger than fiction. That's all I'll say. But where the fictional type stories, folklore of certain creatures that people think don't exist, but let me tell you, you'd be surprised what really is out there. You'd be surprised what is among us. But supposedly, that's where you get stuff like the idea of vampires and werewolves, people being able to, certain types of creatures that don't interact openly as much anymore. But actually, I think we see some things coming full circle. I don't want to get into all that. I don't want anybody to think I'm trying to be crazy, but I know what I know, and I know what I've seen in my life. I mean, maybe one day I'll tell you about when I actually encountered an angel. Now, that angel was in the physical form, but it was an angel. It wasn't just a man. I think I'll share that one day if you're interested. I'll share that one day. That was down in New Orleans when I was like, what was it, 25, 26? It was before Mom died, but I was on the streets. I'll share that story one day. I'll have to remember that. I don't know when it'll be, but if you'd be interested in hearing what my take is, telling you that I truly believe that so-called person was actually an angel in disguise. So there's plenty of that going on if you just be aware of it. But let me end this. I didn't intend this to be that long, but I think it's not about me trying to dictate it. I'm letting the spirit flow right now. And it is coming out I'm not seeing a problem with it. I don't see where I need to stop this and maybe redo it. There's nothing. What's been said needed to be said. What's been read needed to be read. So if you're looking, there's a friend of mine that told me he has a copy of the book. I'm hoping when he sees this video, this may inspire him to actually pick the book up and really give it a shot. I think you'd be surprised how great, or I'm just speaking for my own self. When just within a few pages of first starting this book a few weeks ago, or whenever it was I started it, because it didn't take me long to read it because it reads so well. Like every day that I'd pick it up, I wanted to read more. It's just, I have to kind of space out what I'm doing, I don't work, but I don't just sit around and read all day, but throughout the day I read, but I have different things. Like I was reading part of this book every day. I read some of the scripture. I have book, that I read from to share on this channel. I have a few other things that help me and that I'm not necessarily sharing. But anybody that thinks, if you're looking for something that is inspiring and pretty cool, and I'll give you a new perspective on some things, check out Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. Excuse me. Until next time, this human flesh here is the vessel in which the spirit of Gray Cloud moves through. And the spirit of Gray Cloud is motivated and moved by the big, great Kahuna spirit. But like I said, until next time, Mr. Gray Cloud, Sage of the Eternal Moment, over and out. Ditto, 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 ditto. If you know what ditto means here.